I guess I should hold this closer to my mouth. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Mariama, also known as Brown Belt on the internet, and I am a modern homemaker. Okay, so I made a post on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, asking people if they had questions about my home birth. I had an unmedicated water birth at home, and it was amazing. And I've been telling this story a lot recently, so I decided to just make a video and ask folks if they had any questions for me. So that's what this video is going to be about. First question: how old were you when you gave birth? Well, I was 37. I am 38 now. So, girl, tell me everything. We're trying to conceive, and I just need to know everything. LOL. Well, that is very broad. Um, Trying to conceive, that is a whole thing. I am not a medical professional, so I don't feel like I'm the right person to give medical advice, but I can tell you what I did. Um, I don't know why, but I've always had irregular periods, and I had this fear that for some reason I wouldn't be able to conceive when I wanted, and if I wanted to have children. So when I decided that I might want to engage in the idea of having children, I went to a naturopath doctor to kind of get like my gut and hormones together and just make sure that I had a regular period and that I felt good in my body. Now, if I could go back in time, I would get my ass in shape in addition to that. So that would probably be my biggest advice, is to make sure you are like really in tune with your body, that you, especially the nether reasons, get that booty tight, get the wagon strong, back strong, hips, the mobility together, your back is, everything's aligned, go to the chiropractor, just prepare your body, because you wouldn't believe how being pregnant like rearranges your whole entire being. So if you are planning on getting pregnant, conceiving, I would just really take care of you, have some really strong self-care practices, get in shape, whatever that means for you. Just make sure you feel strong, really strong, because you lose a lot of strength during pregnancy. Let me not speak for everyone. I lost a lot of strength during my pregnancy, as I gained weight, as the belly became bigger, it was getting harder to move. That was my experience. So I would have overcompensated by just being really super strong before I conceived, if I could go back in time. So yeah, that would be my advice for that. Okay, so why I chose this method. I always knew that I wanted to have a home birth. I think that I didn't think too deeply about it until I actually did become pregnant. Um, I don't feel the safest in a hospital. That setting is not the vibe I wanted for my birth. So I thought about actually having a home birth, but I also was open to birthing centers, because I just thought it was more comfortable for me. Um, I just, I knew I didn't want to be in the bed. I knew I didn't want to hear machines and other people, and, not knowing who's coming in and out the room. I wanted to work with the person that was going to actually deliver my baby and know that that was the person. So this just seemed like the right path for me. I also grew up around midwives. My mom was always a proponent for unmedicated birth. So it's just something that has kind of been in my ether for a while. So that's why I chose to go this route. Now, when I first got pregnant and started thinking about how I wanted to give birth, I simply did a Google search. I Googled for birthing centers, and I Googled midwives that were in Maryland, because that's where I live. And my search turned up probably about one birthing center, which was too far away, and then maybe like 4 or 5 midwives. So I reached out to all of them, and 3 of them got back to me. 2 of them were too far away. No, one of them was too far away, and the other 2 I had phone interviews with. And maybe I'll add some of the questions that I asked. But one of them I felt a really strong connection with, and it felt, just real personal. It was a video conference versus a phone call. The other midwife called me while she was driving. It felt a little impersonal, and I was already feeling like this is a huge decision that I had to make. And so that was like I don't want to say points off, but I wasn't like that pleased about that decision. So I went with the person that I felt most comfortable with, that I had a connection with. Her experience was amazing, over 10 years of experience, and it just felt right. So I was lucky to have that experience. It also, I just want to add on to that. No one on my care team said anything about a geriatric pregnancy. No one. Okay. All right. No question, just a comment. You would G. Not a question, but you were a real one for unmedicated. You know, I have thoughts about that too. Um, Maybe I'll talk about that. I'll talk about the pain aspect when if I share the actual video of the birth. But it was very intense, but I wouldn't describe it as super painful, at least not consistently painful. Did you have a midwife, doula, or both? That's a great question. I find that people sometimes conflate the two. Doulas and midwives are very different things. If you have a birth outside of a hospital, you need a midwife. That's a whole different level of training. A doula is more like an emotional, and also someone who technically knows what's happening and can advocate for you, especially if you're having a hospital birth. But the doula and a midwife are two very different things. Definitely do your research. There's even levels in midwifery, so do your research. If you don't want to have a hospital birth, you need a midwife. Doulas are nice to have and very supportive as well. Did you go through your insurance for any of the care you received? Yes. I went through my insurance because I still got all the same testing, blood work, ultrasounds that folks traditionally have when they have a hospital birth. So yes, I used my insurance for that. I also used my insurance for my midwife. I can't speak for all midwives or all doulas. I'm pretty sure doulas wouldn't be covered because, insurance is a scam. But my midwife does accept insurance, some insurances, and then also provides a super bill for folks who want to submit a claim after the fact. Okay, next question. Where did you start your journey? Google? Yes, Google. That is where I started my journey. As I mentioned before, I knew that I wanted to go down this route, but in order to find midwives in my area, I did do a Google search and then just reach out to folks that were, what I thought was a reasonable distance away. And that's how I found my midwife. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is how I prepared myself mentally for this experience, because that to me is, right next to physically being prepared is mentally being prepared, because there are some really intense moments that even if you are physically strong, you really have to mentally be prepared to be uncomfortable, in pain sometimes. And I took a wonderful hypnobirth class that really prepared me. It really gave me the tools to um, the breath work, mentally to visualize and make sure that I was staying centered in my body to ride all the waves or the contractions. It also really helped me communicate with my partner to make sure that he knew what he needed to do to support me, what signs he needed to look out for in my body in order to help me to relax and to make sure that I wasn't tense and my body could do what it naturally does. And I can't recommend this class enough. I'll put the information to the class that I took in the description so that folks can check it out. But this experience was wild, and it really is a miracle. So having your mind together and to not be driven by fear and to not be afraid, so scared of everything, really helped me feel like a G when I gave birth. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions or you want me to talk about something in more detail, um, drop me a comment in the comment section below or shoot me a note on Instagram. All right, thank you.